goes from there and he'll score.
Leanback backs up, so does Chris Mortimer, so does Billy Johnstone, and Johnstone scores another cricket ground try. Look at the smile on little Billy Johnstone.
Picked up by Morocco, over to Lumbey, got it away to Johnstone, there's the gap, he steps back inside, he's over beside the post.
We say farewell to a great little man there in Billy Johnstone. Billy, thanks for the memories.
Well, Billy Johnstone, your name alone probably sends shivers down the spine of hundreds of players just to think about some of the things you've put them through over the years. What do you think your reputation is in rugby league?
Most of the blokes who come to train with us didn't enjoy it very much.
You were really one of the pioneers of strength and conditioning. Why was fitness so important for you?
Because I couldn't play very well. No, you know, to add to your ability, a lot of the guys in those days used to enjoy a cool drink in the evenings and stuff like that, so their behaviour needed to change. So if you could turn up to training with me and been on the grog the night before and get through training, then I'd shake your hand.
See, I don't mind you saying that I probably wasn't the most talented guy out there, because you worked out pretty early on you had to work for everything that you got.
Yeah. Well, it was a battle all the way through for me. I come from Cunnamulla out in Western Queensland, and boxing was a big focus for all us kids out there. So, you know, when I turned me ideas to playing professional rugby league, then it was a big step up for me because of, you know, the coming from the bush and that. You never played in strong comps or whatever. So it was really good if I could get super fit and I'm still running at the same speed at the end of the game as the start. So that's it.
You are that Cunnamulla fella. What was it like growing up in the outback?
Oh, it was so good. I'll tell you a little story about my dad was the boxing coach. And in Cunnamulla, a town of 800 people, we had 52 registered boxers. And he had this rule that if we'd go away and fight, you know, anywhere in New South Wales, we used to go to Cobar, Dubbo, Orange. Anyway, so when you were coming back to Cunnamulla, if you'd lost your fight, he'd make you get out and walk into town. I don't take losers into Cunnamulla. It was a good lesson. Good, hard lesson, you know what I mean?
What about the values that, you know, you sort of grow up with and live and die by out there?
Well, you know, it's funny because I always sometimes think about it and say, imagine doing that in this era, it'd be cruelty to children.
But what lessons did you learn?
Win the fight so you can stay in the car.
Yeah, absolutely. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what took you to Brisbane?
So I got an apprenticeship with Telecom as a motor mechanic. Went to do my apprenticeship, and then that turned into sport. So
what came first, fighting or footy?
Pretty even. You know, the good thing for me that I'll talk to you about is that for football, there was always a lot of friendship and you got mates. With boxing, it was a lonely thing. You were pretty serious about boxing and you probably thought, were you going to make a career of it? Well, that was all very interesting because old Hector Thompson at the time was going great guns, you know, he fought Roberto Duran and God knows who not. And the first bloke I jumped in the ring with at Wollongabba Police Boys Club was Hector Thompson. He punched holes in me for about 5 minutes and then I jumped out. Holy smokes, so what did you do after that? Oh, so that was great, you know. It was such inspirational how he trained and those guys like him. Australia had a lot of good boxers then. And, well, you know, I even had the pleasure of jumping in the ring with Lionel Rose in his old age. Heroes of yours? Oh, yeah. I remember me dad in 1968. Me dad woke me up about 4 in the morning. He said, Lionel's on tonight against Harada. And so we listened to Lionel Rose win his first world title. Just a little kid in the outback listening blow by blow. About 5 years old. Amazing. Yeah, great. I mean, if we fast forward to a few years down at Belmore Sports Grounds, you're going for the Australian title. Last 15-round fight in Australian history. Phenomenal. What happened? I got to a minute 30 from the end of the 15th round and headbutted him.
Why?
I got excited. I was from Cunnamulla.
But you had it. It could have been yours. I mean, this was like after Wally Carr and like champions. And the next champion could have been Billy Johnstone.
Brain explosion, they'd call it. Stupid Billy.
Did he get under your guard? What was it?
Oh, no, I was getting excited because I'd knocked him down 3 times and I got too excited. So I thought if I can't keep him down, I'll headbutt him down.
Disqualified.
Yep. See you later, Billy.
Do you regret it?
No, not really. No. Who cares?
You were playing for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, at the time.
Quite a moment, really, if you think about it. You were playing in the biggest rugby league competition that we had at the time, and then you're up for the Australian title. Yeah,
well, so that year I'd won the Dally M as well, Booker of the Year, and it was going to cap off quite a good year for me. Quite a good year? That would have been a sensational year. I think a lot more people talk about it now, though, than if I would have won, perhaps. Yeah. Because I was so stupid. Well, let's go back to the BRL because you came through at a bit of a golden era, really, for Brisbane Rugby League, arriving at Souths. Bobby McCarthy was your coach. Yeah. A young Mal Meninga was in your team. One of our feeder clubs to South Brisbane was the Police Academy. And we had several of, Mal being one of them, but several of our players were in the Police Academy. And it was a, really disciplined place to be, and they used to bring a lot of that discipline to our training. Mal said you used to run to and home from training. Yeah, only 10K each way. How many times a week? 3. Well, you weren't going to be outworked by anyone, that's for sure. Tell me about the 81 grand final win over Redcliffe. Yes, Arthur Beetson's last game of football. I got, my bag's there, I got my mum and dad's ticket to the game in there. Oh, can we get it out? Yeah. You kept it? Kept me ticket, mum and dad's ticket to the game. Wow. And so this is at Lang Park? Yeah. 30,000 there that day? Full house. Full house. Could not walk. That's mum and dad's ticket to the 1981 grand final. Arthur Beetson's last game of football. What a moment in time. They must have been so proud. So proud to play, and for them to get into the grand final cost them $10. Worth every cent.
5 tackles gone. 1 minute left. They're running it. Phelan, Meninga, Reardon will score, I think. He's in. That could be the one that wins it. Mick Reardon's gone berserk. So too is the crowd, and that puts Souths in front.
You're up against the great Arthur Beetson and Redcliffe, who are a famous club. Yeah, they were a really strong side, Redcliffe. It was a tremendous win, for us. The way you said Artie Beetson, I'm guessing you're a fan just like everyone else. Yep. So he's from Roma, and, I quite often just drive through Roma when I'm going home to Cunnamulla and think about what a good bloke he was. And what an honour it must have been to be there for his final game. And packing the scrum against him, particularly if I could bump him with my head a couple of times. You still let him know. Young bull on the block. You idiot, Billy. Now, as much as you were disciplined and you train hard, you're not opposed to a good time. If you really work hard and you get the results you want, and, I always think it's good to have a little party afterwards and enjoy yourself. But if you play up, you've got to show up the next day. Yeah, and you've got to accept the consequences, which there were quite often consequences. I love that you guys invented Mad Monday. Mad Monday. This is very good, which would start immediately after the full-time siren. And we start at the Melbourne Hotel, where Gary Borkin was our major sponsor at South Brisbane. So he just let us in for free at 10 o'clock, and away we went. Hang on, half your team are full of coppers. Yeah. How did this work? Yeah, we made sure that they brought their badges with them.
With Tony Armstrong. Now it's Folkes, now it's Mortimer. There's a try coming. Billy Johnstone! Billy Johnstone is in for Canterbury Bankstown. And look at the joy on Billy Johnstone's face.
Who scouted you to the Bulldogs?
Bob McCarthy. Because he had played after he finished at South Sydney Bulldogs, and then he was our coach at South Brisbane. And I think Bob recommended me to go down there.
I love Bobby McCarthy. And see, he's got a big fitness focus as well, the body.
Yeah. He was really keen on that side of football.
Do you remember your debut? I think you had Phil Gould in the back row, you had the Mortimers, you had Chris Anderson for the Bulldogs. I mean, this is such an incredible era to be around Canterbury.
What was happening was George Paponis was the hooker of maybe 80 grand final for the Bulldogs, and he was on the way to retiring. They brought myself and Mark Bugden. Mark played at Newtown, and I was coming from Brisbane, so they bought two of us. Mark played in the 84 grand final in front of me. I was on the reserve bench.
Yeah, why? What did Warren Ryan say?
Mark was a fair bit bigger than me. Then in 85 against St George I played, and then 86 Mark played. That's just team sport. You got to put up with it.
Who drove the standards on and off the field at the Bulldogs?
Off the field, Jeff Robinson used to drive the standards. He had to be at the pub at 5:30 every day.
Essential.
Essential, yeah. Team meeting.
Over a few schooners.
Canterbury Bankstown have won the Winfield Cup and the JJ Gildernan Shield for the second year in a row.
So tell me about the 85 grand final.
All those grand finals were 4-2, 7-6 and
tight.
6-4, I think. Yeah, so no tries, I don't think, in any of the three grand finals. Warren Ryan was the coach then, and from our point of view, he had a massive focus on defence. And if they didn't score, we win. Finished.
Billy Johnstone, the captain of the Gold Coast Giants.
It's an enormous honour to be the inaugural captain of the Gold Coast Giants, reunited with Bobby McCarthy.
Yeah.
But then you've got this responsibility of putting a bit of a culture into a brand new club, because it's hard yakka starting from scratch. And so you had to whip the blokes into some sort of shape. Did you see that as your responsibility?
The number one thing was particularly, you know, how physical the game was in those days, and it was only a 5 metre rule in defensive line. So you were camped in each other's faces. And the important thing was about your fitness. If you could finish over the top of teams.
Well, they should be able to wind it down now. There it is.
It's all over. History has been made. And listen to the crowd. An absolutely thoroughly deserved victory by the Gold Coast Giants. They've knocked off the tall poppies. The Winfield Cup leaders, the Brisbane Broncos, have been defeated.
Gold Coast have their first major result against Brisbane.
Yeah.
What's the party like?
My God, that was a party.
That was a mid-season Matt Monday.
I don't think we won for another couple of weeks.
You know what? I think you only had about 3 or 4 wins for the season. That's the one that mattered.
Yeah.
And you outplayed Greg Kinescu.
Well, he was always a rival of mine. He started in 1980 grand final in South Brisbane. I was at South Brisbane, he was at North, and we were the hookers against each other then.
Picked up by Morocco, over to Lumbey, got it away to Johnstone, there's the gap, he stepped back inside, he's over beside the post.
I was always a bit snarly about not getting selected for State of Origin, and it was always because Greg was in front of me, which was fair. He was a very good player, you know, so...
We say farewell to a great little man there in Billy Johnstone. Billy, thanks for the memories. You've served the game well.
When you went back to the Bulldogs as a strength and conditioning coach, and you're in charge of giving them an edge and returning them into a team that can hang in for the full 80 minutes or more if needed. Did you see that as something that you thought, I can get these blue and whites back?
Yeah. And so we went to the 94, 95, 98. So while I was mucking around there, we got to a few grand finals, which was tremendous, you know. And there are a lot of people players from that era that I still, you know, Jason Hetherington, for example. You know,
I was going to say, I think you two would get along pretty well.
He was a bushy, you know. There were a lot of guys like that really enjoyed themselves at the Bulldogs, yeah.
How did the players respond to some of your methods?
Oh, there was always a complaints department. That was, you know, a given.
How do you deal with it when players start to complain about it being too hard?
Come with me and we'll see the CEO and we'll see, can he sort your pay packet out?
Really?
Yeah, because you are on quite a bit of money, so shut up and get on with it. In through that era, Ricky Stewart, Bradley Clyde, a couple of guys like that come to our club. I would say Bradley Clyde is the best athlete I've ever trained. And I trained a lot of different sports and what have you. If I asked him to do something, he'd do it. Can you swim a kilometre for me, Bradley? No problem. We ride the bicycle 20 laps around Centennial Park. That'll work out to be about 85k. Righto, we'll get it done.
Who's the strongest you've ever seen in the gym?
Yeah, we've had a few of those, but I don't know whether they were drug-assisted or not, though, you know. Taking steroids was a bit of a thing, you know, back through the early 2000s and that. I say to you, for weight, for strength, one of the best I've ever met is John Thurston. You know, for his weight, he was very strong, good.
Just wanted it.
Yeah, really good.
You mentioned steroids. Now, over your time, so you're a life in the game, right?
Yeah.
You would have seen some pretty wild things coming in and out of gyms, and blokes trying to get an advantage anyway, right? Yeah. Illegally, whatever they can get their hands on. So steroids or peptides out of pigs' brains and drinking calf's blood and all these, you know, new fad things that are going to make you the fittest, fastest, strongest. What's some of the more unusual tactics that you heard or seen?
I think you've just mentioned them all. But the good thing about it was the testing system. You know, when I first started doing the strength and conditioning type stuff, there was no rules, and there were a lot of guys taking steroids. Yeah.
They were out there running through brick walls.
Yeah, it was obvious as well, you know. It wasn't as if it was a secret.
When you went to the Cowboys, it's 40-odd degrees through summer in a pre-season. Yeah. Is that perfect for you? Is that like, are you like the drill sergeant through the pre-season?
Well, the thing that Graham Murray, God bless his soul, you know, when we got together and had our first conversations about how we go about it, the thing that he said to me was that we got a unique situation in North Queensland. All these people from Sydney and Canberra and Illawarra and stuff, they're not used to the temperature. So let's make that our number one thing, that, you know, when we play at home, we'll be able to play the whole game. So he let me go on that, and I turned into some crazy things, you know. There was a lot of stuff that North Queensland boys still tell me about.
Like what? What did you do? What did you come up with?
Oh, well, our favourite was Castle Hill. Oh. Castle Hill, we used to run up and down that all the time. My favourite story is that Matthew Bowen was a young man just coming along the rails, you know, only 19 or 20 or something. In the pre-season of before Christmas, he, you know, he was going pretty good, Matthew. So I said, come and live with us and I'll teach you how, you know, about eating and, you know, what times you eat and how you go about it and all that. The wife wasn't that happy that I asked Matthew to move in, but anyway, he did. So he turned up with an esky. And I said, what's in the esky, Matthew? Oh, he said, good tucker, Billy. Got a dugong. I said, show me what a dugong looks like to eat. I don't know whether you ever seen a dugong.
It's pretty fatty.
It's just fat.
Yeah. it's not on the lean meat side.
we put the esky in the back of the car and I went and tipped it in the river.
Oh.
That was the last time we had dugong.
And so so he gave up the dugong. What did you get Matty onto?
So he just started eating, you know, lean meat and keeping away from the hamburger shops and what have you. And what a tremendous athlete he was, you know. And put him together with John Thurston, and we had a really good little combination there at the Cowboys. They used to whistle to each other and cooey and carry on, you know, about set moves, and it was fun.
I heard an awful rumour you took out the aircon out of the gym.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why would you do that?
We're playing in North Queensland.
Oh, my God, exactly.
We're going to train in North Queensland as well.
Cruel.
Yeah. So when I pulled down the air conditioner, that was a hoo-ha for a couple of weeks.
But is that a mental thing?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
What was your theory around players who weren't playing or picked to play on game day? If you weren't in the...
Well, they called the 18th man team. When the others, you know, the main squad who's played and stuff, doing their recovery work on Monday, then the leftover group come and train with Billy. And we'd do some silly stuff, you know, just to keep it entertaining.
I heard that you used to make some of the Bulldogs ride down to Canberra, the leftover group.
Well, the leftover, what happened there was we made a rule in conjunction with folks in Anderson who were the coaches around the time, you know, that if we played away from Belmore Oval and we're playing in New South Wales, we'd ride our bicycle there. The famous story is, of course, Ricky Stewart riding to Canberra.
Rick would have hated that.
Thank you. I said,
has he forgiven you yet?
No. So we said, we'll start riding, and we got about 3 hour, 4 hour start, you know, and away we went. And so we got to Goulburn, and I thought, we're going pretty good, you know. So we might race them there to Canberra. But anyway, the bus caught us.
Are you on the Hume Highway with Ricky Stewart on a bicycle?
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah. It was a bit hectic down around Campbelltown and that, but...
That is the funniest thing to think of. Does Rick talk to you anymore?
I haven't talked to him for a while.
That's funny, that. How many players have you seen break mentally?
The breaking point is always a thing you got to judge. Every now and again, one of the coaches would pull me into gear, you know, and we'd sit down and have a conversation with the player and kiss and make up, and away we'd go.
How do you go when someone does have a sook? Are you sympathetic or no?
We'd probably add something to training.
Oh, right. So you complain, you get more.
Yeah. So shut up and get on with it.
It's old school, but it was effective.
Yeah. Well, in me life, it took me to 19 grand finals.
Johnston, Meninga. He decides to have a run. He's wrong-footed Olsen. He's beaten another player straight through the middle. Beaten Benson. He's found Lumby. And has he got too much pace? Yes, he's beaten Bax. That's a fine try. You
got to reunite with Mal Meninga in the Maroons camp, and right at the start of that dynasty too.
It used to be that the first day you come in, it was quite rowdy. You know, the first night was out uncontrollable, usually.
Bonding.
Yeah, there would be quite often some police officers coming and speaking to us and stuff.
And now you were kind of the gatekeeper. You were the scary one that would knock on doors and make sure everyone's accounted for. And
well, the first time that Wayne had me in, he said, "I've got this little bloke from Ipswich, Langer. If you could just keep an eye on him, Billy."
That's a full-time job.
Can I tell you what I did? Queen Street, Brisbane. I went to every nightclub and give them 2 free tickets to the Origin game, the bouncer. Give him my phone number. If you see Alfia, ring me up. About the 3rd night in, "Billy, Alf's down there at the casino." Next minute, Billy's standing over Alf's shoulder. "Oh, how did you find that out?" He was so good about it and funny. It was hilarious.
And did he go willingly?
Yeah.
Didn't put up a fight? No. It wasn't that silly.
No. We'll go home.
But he didn't know you'd paid off every bouncer in Brisbane to make sure they were on Alf watch.
Yeah, Alf watch.
Who else was a bit of an issue? Because Alf is like our favourite naughty one.
Yeah.
Who else would stay out after curfew and try little tricks?
Oh, Big Gordon Tallis could extend his welcome more than sometimes. But the funny thing about all that era was that I had Petro and Shane Webke, and they were like the gatekeepers.
Oh, so you recruited them as your second set of eyes. Right.
If someone's jumping out a window, could you let me know?
Geez, they're hard to jump when they'd see you sitting there.
Ah, dear.
So working with Wayne in the Kangaroos camp, like you were obviously bad cop.
Early in the week, or, you know, so say we had 10 days to prepare for a game. The first night might be, you know, open slather.
Because they want to have fun on tour.
Yeah, and then after that, we start clamping down.
Would you be out with them on the first night?
Yeah, of course. and
feeding them beers?
As they all know, I'd be asking for freebies.
Perfect. But then you'd be the one knocking on the door at 6 a.m. going, "Let's go train."
Yeah.
When old footy players see you now, do they go, "Oh, God, Billy, I used to hate it when you make us do, you know, X, Y, Z, or they go, oh, mate, you nearly killed me this one day.
Yeah, worst thing you can have is a football player coming to you and saying, oh, I'm bored. Never bored in Billy's world. Never. There's always something to do.
Anyone ever faint or pass out?
Oh, plenty. Quite a few.
You're tireless in your own pursuits as well. I mean, I'm guessing you're not great at sitting still. What's an ideal day for you now?
I get up in the mornings and ride from where I live, which is about 10k to the Currumbin stairs, and I run up and down the stairs a few times, and then I go and have a swim in the ocean, and in the afternoon I try to go to a boxing or yoga or something like that. So a couple of sessions a day is adequate nowadays.
Well, Billy, you're such a legend. We are so lucky to have had someone like you in the game for as long as we did, and you've given us so many great memories.
Can I say that I think I had more fun than most people? 32 years I ended up being in the NRL. It was tremendous. I really enjoyed myself the whole way through.
You made so many champions along the way.
Thank you.